Welcome back to the transition. I'm Rashad McCants. As we left off, episode 1, identity. I want you all to understand identity is the most important element of this process. Who you are, who you were, and who you want to be. But now we're going to talk about the second part of this process, which is the breaking, the broken, the broke, the breakthrough. This is exciting, I'm telling you, because I've been there. I feel it. Gives me chills every time thinking about it because there's such an emphasis on the word broke, especially when you're going through a transition. And only the people who actually have gone through the transition know what it feels like to be broken, to break, to need the breakthrough. So what we have to do is we have to break it down. You have to be broken down. You know who you are now. You know who you are. I'm giving you some personal testimonies of small transitions within sports to music. So let's talk now about the transition from the broken to breaking through. What that looks like. And so going through that particular process, understanding that particular journey is a painful one. As I told you, it's not going to be easy. The transition alone is not easy. Overcoming the stereotypes is not easy. It is not impossible. It's attainable. You can overcome. But there's a huge roadblock laying ahead. And that's how you're going to heal from being broken. Because you're going to have to be broken down. Now, many people can misconstrue what a breakdown is, like having a breakdown, having a mental breakdown in comparison to breaking down your own individual ego, your own individual likeness, who you are, who you were, who you want to be. Let's break it down. It means you have to go in depth of who you surround yourself with, the things you listen to, the things you take in, things you believe in, the people you listen to. This is a very vulnerable place, being broken, because it's only you that can heal yourself. You can get outside help to help you put the bandages on, but it's you who are going to have to self-generate. It is only you who can be still long enough to heal. So let's talk about the break. Let's talk about the break. How does it happen? What's the steps after the identity, after you figured out who you are, who you want to be? You got to break away. You got to break away from all the norms of society. You have to challenge your ego to let go of vices, vanities, desires. You have to allow yourself to say no. These things will break you. You'll lose friends. You'll lose family members. You might lose your job. You might lose lovers. But the one thing you gain is a breakthrough towards your transformation. Remember, we're transitioning through this whole thing. And identity is just one element of that transition. The other element of that transition is the breaking. We got to break you down. How do we do that? How do we break you down? You got to be naked. You got to be vulnerable. You got to deactivate your mind. You're not in control. You got to break through. What does that look like? So if you can get easily triggered by small things, words, small actions, you're not in control. You're reacting off impulse. These are elements of characteristics and personalities that you're not in control of. Now, these things can put you in a prison where there's a constant breaking with no healing. We're talking about real trauma, real agony, with no relief in sight. We don't want to be there. We want to break, we want to heal, and then we want to break through. We want to see the roadblocks. We want to plan how to get around them. And then ultimately, we want to say, fuck it, I'm going through it. We're not going around it anymore. We're going to go through it. We're going to lean in to the pain. Because ultimately, when you're broken, you've decided to endure the pain. What is the pain? Society's telling you you cannot transition from one element of your life to the next. It's telling you you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not skinny enough, you're not fat enough, you don't have enough money, you can't do it, you don't got the resources. What does that do to you? Doesn't it break you? Doesn't it break your soul for somebody to tell you no? How do you bounce back from that? Well, you've identified who you are. You've identified who you want to be. This is enough confidence to get you over the hump in this transition to know that no matter how much you bend, how much they stretch you, how much they break you, you always have the ability and the opportunity to heal. Takes time, doesn't happen overnight, but the ability is there. The opportunity is there. And you've identified what you want most, this new you. You want to transform. That's the second level. You are at the bottom tier level of transitioning from something you no longer want to do something you no longer are capable of doing, to something that you are now interested in, something that you've always been interested in, something you just don't think that you ever had the ability to do, but you're just going to say, fuck it, I want to do this. Let's try it. Ooh, that's scary. And the moment you step up to the plate, you get hit right in the face with the bat and it breaks your face. What do you do? I think everybody's first reaction is to start crying because it's so painful. A broken face, a broken soul. Where do we go from there? We break it down. It's temporary. This pain is temporary. The moment is temporary. The roadblock is temporary. How do we get past this? Well, you can't get past it asking questions. You got to attack. You got to be on the move. But you cannot be a reactionary person where you're reacting and not responding. See, when you're broken, you can move out of desperation, which leads you to react to everything. A desperate person is triggered by any and everything that's negative. There's no positivity in sight for a person who's triggered. So we have to understand, before you can break through, you must break down. And before you have broken down, you must understand why you have broke, why it doesn't work anymore, why it hurts so bad. You're transitioning into something and no one thinks you can do it. No one has confidence in you. You don't even have confidence in you. So it's painful. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There's light in the middle of the tunnel. And if you really, really think about it, there's light at the beginning. But your face hurts so bad from being broken, you can't see any of those things. You're literally blinded. So understanding that this element, this process of breaking is much needed pain therapy for all the anxiety, all the traumas, all the things you think back, failures you've had. This is the fuel you need to push forward into your transformation. How else are you going to transform your body without going through the pain? You got muscles, don't you? Right? You build these muscles up. You don't think pain comes with that? You don't think soreness comes with that? You don't think getting up every morning knowing that you're going to go through some more pain is going to make you question whether or not you should get up at all? Maybe I should take a day off. This is a bit much. But that pain is temporary. That healing is temporary. We're superheroes. And nothing can keep us down but us. It's in the mind. So when you break, you must understand your mind will crack, but you cannot let your mind break. You must grab hold of your mind. You must grab a hold of your ego and control them. Let's go to the financial monetary part of the breaking. As entrepreneurs, as sports figures, as entertainers, and even regular citizens, we have to go through some type of transition where that transition is not going to be smooth financially. And you're going to take a setback. What are you going to do? How are you going to respond? That's a very, very, very important question. How am I going to respond when I'm taking less money from a job I've been working for 10, 20 years that kept me comfortable, kept me convenient? But now I have to transition because that job is no longer for me. That position is no longer for me. Either been let go, fired, laid off, or you just retired. What do we do? We got to transition. But your transition has to be to something that you can passionately transform into. This is a metamorphosis from a larvae to a caterpillar, from a caterpillar to a butterfly. These are 3 stages. You're an organism to a walking organism, and now you're a flying organism. It takes time. During the first transition, it's going to be painful because you're growing limbs, you're growing knees and legs and fingers and toes. These things were never there before. Oh, it hurt so bad. But once that time is over, you realize what you are. Now it's time to transcend into the butterfly. The pain is gone. Now we must learn how to fly. The breaking is over, but we must go through the breaking. It's necessary. It's how we find substance in who we are. So the transition from your breaking into the real world is understand the scenarios. I can remember my personal breaking many times in the sport. I was broken. My first breaking was in college. That, you know what? We're going to go back a little bit further. It's 8th grade was my first breaking. I was cut from my 8th grade basketball team, and I was the best basketball player in the state. And my teachers decided to send me a message that a C average was not good enough to make the team. Devastated. Devastated. Didn't understand how some grown adults would make a decision on my future so drastic without considering consulting, without considering having a conversation. Then being cut in front of your peers, knowing you're the best player on the floor they ever seen. Now you had to look at your friends in embarrassment. You go home, you're not a crier, but you're crying. You've been hurt before, but you've never felt this. I was broke. Thought it was over. 8th grade. But my father told me as a solution, son, Michael Jordan was cut from his basketball team as well. And he didn't let that stop him. We're going to get you to another school, try to get you on another team. How long did you think I kept crying? It stopped right then and there. There was another opportunity. You're right, Dad. We can go somewhere else. Left school, went back to my school, county school, Irwin Middle, enrolled back into the school right in time for the last tryout, in which I missed by 20 minutes. So I was unable to make that team because I missed the last day of tryouts. Ooh, devastated again. How is this possible? The only option was to play youth league. Which was an opportunity to transform my pain into an adventure. So from that particular moment, going back to the youth league where I'm eighth grader, 6'2", I'm dunking at the time. And I'm not playing with my peers. I'm playing with all the guys who could never make the middle school team. But somehow, some way, I was able to showcase my talents in youth league to an AAU coach who was traveling all over the country with a traveling team. And he wanted me to be a part of his team. That man's name was Andy Ray. That team name was the WNC Storm. We won 3 state championships. We won a national championship. And from that opportunity, I went to play for the Charlotte Royals, where we won a national championship. And I went on to go to Nike camp. And I went on to go and play for the USA team, Colorado Springs. And the rest is history. So I was able to take that pain, that devastation of being broken, and I broke through. I broke through in eighth grade, 13 years old. It never defined me. It made me stronger. Don't let the breaking define you. Let it refine you. We are here for a reason, to transition, to transform, and to transcend. This is our purpose, and we must break in order to do so. Welcome to the transition. I'm Rashad McCants. Until next time.